Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning, and we're beginning with breaking news this morning of a shooting investigation in East Bakersfield as our homicide rate this year continues to climb.
And it appears today's deadline to renew a $600 a week unemployment payment will come and go with no relief for Americans, for millions of Americans, where Congress is with negotiations on this Friday, July 31st, 2020.
Good morning. Good to have you with us. It's 5 a.m. on this Friday. I'm Maddie Jansen along with Alex Fisher, and we do have that local breaking news to get to, and also some devastating breaking news out of Southern California this morning about a Marine training mission that went awry. So we'll get to both of those stories in just a moment, but we want to start off with your Friday forecast.
Let's turn things over to Kevin Schrett, who has a look at this weekend's forecast.
Well, yesterday we didn't hit the 104. Mother Nature kept us at 103. So that was somewhat of good news. As we head into the weekend, we're still going to keep it hot, but there is some relief in sight as we head into next week. You can see we've got clear skies out there right now to start off our morning. We're sitting right now at 75 degrees. Kind of a carbon copy of yesterday. No winds out there right now. And as we take a look at the dog walk forecast, we're going to start out at 8 a.m. right near 83. And then you can see we warm up this afternoon. But I think highs will be only near 102. So that's some good news for us. 59 degrees in Tehachapi right now with an east-southeast wind at 6. And as we take a look at the hour by hour, it's starting out in those 60s and then lower 90s as we progress into the afternoon. I'll have much more in your weekend forecast. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Kev, thanks so much. We begin this morning with breaking news out of Southern California. A Marine is dead and several others are hurt and missing this morning after a training accident. Here's a map of where that happened near San Clemente Island. It happened on yesterday evening. Reports say the Marines were in an amphibious training exercise, They were in an amphibious assault vehicle for that exercise when it began taking on water. The USMC tweeted about the incident this morning, saying that they are again in the recovery efforts. The USMC says it is deeply saddened by this tragic loss of the one Marine and asks that everyone keep the other missing Marines in their prayers. We'll continue to update you on this story and have more throughout the morning.
All right, and now we have some breaking news here in Bakersfield, in East Bakersfield specifically, a shooting investigation after reports of a shooting just about 1 hour ago. 17's Taylor Schaub is live there at this scene. This is near Pearl and Haley Streets, which is just a few blocks from Kern Medical. He's joining us live there with what he's learned so far this morning. Taylor?
Well, good morning, Maddie. It's still a very active scene, as you can see behind me. I'm going to step out of the shot so we can get a live picture this morning for our audience. It happened around 3:55 this morning. That's when KCSO responded to an incident at the intersection of Pearl and Haley Streets. It's not clear what sparked the incident, but we've heard reports that it's a shooting, and it appears that one person has been shot. We spoke to KCSO recently. No word on that person's condition as of right now, but for anybody traveling this way, Haley Street is blocked off north and south, while Pearl Street is blocked off to the east and the west. We're going to have more on this developing story throughout the morning, but I'm going to send it back to you, Maddie and Alex.
All right, Taylor, thank you so much. It has now been 6 months since the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. This comes just days after the U.S. death toll passed 150,000 confirmed deaths, according to Johns Hopkins University. John Lawrence has more.
The United States has yet to flatten the coronavirus curve.
Like whack-a-mole with hotspots all over this country. It's just going to keep popping up if we don't do something nationally.
President Trump is calling on governors to reopen their states, but his coronavirus task force is warning the 21 red states on this map that stronger restrictions might be needed. The yellow states are also under the microscope.
We've got to help the public understand you got to be part of the solution. And if not, I can't even imagine what the next 6 to 12 months are like without a vaccine. It will be close to the gates of hell.
Johns Hopkins University reports the U.S. recorded 50,000 deaths in just over 2 months, and the resurgence seen in the South and West is now heading toward the Midwest.
We're starting to see that in some of the states now, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, and other, Indiana.
The bottom line is health experts say the U.S. has to do more to fight this pandemic.
We have a whole set of new testing capabilities that can give results in 15 minutes or half an hour. Those tests exist today. The federal government could partner with those companies, ramp up production, and make sure that there are tens of millions of those tests available around the country within weeks.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
And now to the latest coronavirus cases in Kern County. Here's a look at what was announced yesterday by Public Health. More than 1,000 new cases added to that total and 4 new deaths. 220 people are in the hospital and receiving treatment from a virus. A month ago, there were 147 people in the hospital. Our death toll now stands at 139. 53 of those people who've died from the virus here in Kern died this month. Last month, 40 people died in Kern from COVID-19.
Health officials in Kern County and around the state are pushing for more COVID-19 testing. But in the Bay Area, some testing sites are having problems after some tests were misplaced. This happened at a testing site in Solano County, then again at a testing site in Contra Costa County. So what does this mean for people waiting on results? For Lisa Ruiz, it meant going and getting tested again.
I got a phone call from them telling me that my test was lost and to please call them and reschedule. How does something like this happen where they lose everything? And where did it go? Where is it?
Workers at that specific testing site say that while it is rare, sometimes tests are lost or misplaced. In fact, about 0.3% of the time testing samples are damaged.
Well, here at home, there's a huge demand for convalescent plasma. Houchin Community Blood Bank says out of the more than 5,000 people who've recovered from coronavirus, so far only about 130 of them have donated their convalescent plasma. If saving a life isn't a big enough incentive to get you in the door, well, the blood bank's now offering survivors a $50 gift card to simply donate. For more information on how to donate, call 616-2575 or visit their website at hcbb.com. And this offer runs out, I believe, this week for the gift card in exchange for donations.
Distance learning has become the norm in COVID-19 era, and Bakersfield College is trying to help make learning online effective as possible. Bakersfield College's education department has added several new courses to help students and teachers alike. The new courses aim to provide training to make learning and teaching more effective in an online environment. Bakersfield College hopes these new courses ease the transition of online learning this fall.
Meantime, speaking of colleges around the nation, students had their lives upended last spring when the pandemic hit. With some colleges set to start a new school year in a matter of days, many are still trying to figure out if their students will actually be on campus. An increase in cases is now forcing a growing number of colleges to change their plans. Here's NBC's Carrie Sanders.
Just weeks away from the start of the fall semester, COVID-19 is forcing colleges across the country to rewrite their back-to-school plans. George Washington University in the nation's capital is one of several schools abruptly changing course, moving undergrad classes completely online this fall after initially announcing a hybrid plan.
We simply had too many surges in too many locations that we draw students from, and too high a risk of bringing the virus into our community and having a surge here.
A tracker by the Chronicle of Higher Education finds 74% of schools were planning for in-person learning in May. That number now down to just 49%, with 35% of schools proposing a hybrid model and 14% going completely virtual. George Washington offering 10% off tuition for students who do not live on campus. But families still face pricey tuition bills and are now rethinking their college plans.
Is that tuition that I'm paying for a highly diminished version of the college experience worth it?
Cyan Donju, who will be a junior at Stanford, is now considering a gap year after learning her fall semester will be online.
I definitely don't feel like it's the same education.
Plans for the fall further complicated by the fact that coronavirus is already on some campuses. A new report by the New York Times linking 6,300 coronavirus cases to 270 colleges in the U.S. Despite Florida just setting a new record, 217 COVID deaths in a single day, the University of Miami still plans to welcome students on campus in just over a week.
We are moving ahead. Obviously, we always have to work with the state government, the city, but at this point, we're 10 days out, and we're anticipating opening on time on August 9th.
Welcome back. We're continuing to follow that breaking news we brought you just about 20 minutes ago of a shooting investigation in East Bakersfield, just a few blocks from Kern Medical. 17 Taylor Schaub is joining us live from the scene this morning. It's a very active situation. It just happened about an hour and a half ago. Taylor, what can you tell us so far?
Well, good morning, Maddie, and that's right. It's a very active situation here. Shooting happened, or I should say authorities responded around 3:55 this morning as I show you a live picture of what's going on here on the intersection of Haley and Pearl Street. This is what we know so far. They showed up around 3:55. There were reports of a shooting. At least one person has been shot. We're not clear on the condition of that person as of right now. I can say it appears that a handful of homicide detective cars have showed up, but again, not clear on the condition of that person as of right now. Haley Street is blocked off from the north and south side, while Pearl Street is blocked off east and west. That's about all we know right now as I send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Taylor. And again, we'll continue to follow this for you this morning and pass on information that we learn. In other news this afternoon, a fire yesterday in a hotel burned several people out of their just after 2:30 Thursday afternoon at the Sunset Motel on South Union Avenue between Ming and Bell Terrace. The fire spread to at least 3 rooms. Bakersfield firefighters brought in extra crews to handle the flames, and they were able to quickly put out the fire.
There were early reports also that there possibly was a juvenile in one of the apartments. We did a search of that apartment, did not locate him. Sheriff's Department subsequently found the kid safe, no problems at all. He had escaped the fire.
One person suffered minor burns. Firefighters say smoking may be to blame, but the official cause is under investigation. Alex, going to send it back to you. Meantime, national news this morning, the worst economy on record. Coronavirus numbers growing and a stalemate in Washington over renewing unemployment benefits. There's a lot to cover. Tracy Potts has the latest.
It appears today's deadline to renew $600 a week unemployment payments will come and go with no relief for millions of Americans.
That was really helping us with our rent.
Negotiations are stuck. Republicans want to drop payments to $200. The White House offered a 1-week extension.
This will provide a critical bridge for Americans who lost their jobs.
Democrats are refusing a temporary deal.
We're waiting for you to get your act together and understand the depth of this crisis.
They basically won't engage, period.
Americans are struggling.
We're seeing 2,000 to 3,000, up to 7,000 families come through in a 3 or 4 hour period.
Desperate for food as coronavirus surges. 4.5 million cases, 153,000 deaths, 1 every minute on Wednesday.
I think it's important.
Dr. Anthony Fauci and other health experts testify on Capitol Hill today. 1,000 health professionals are calling for another shutdown with more testing, more tracing, and masks mandatory. The White House initially said no to testimony from Dr. Fauci, the CDC director, and the assistant health secretary. They're all set to testify today. Tracy Potts, NBC News.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.